Just in time for Halloween, Class Comics has collected together some of their horror-themed comic book stories, all together in one volume. A lot of the stories have to do with their character of Jacko, but some of the other stories, they just have to do with the whole horror aspect to it. This is called Halloween Hauntings Volume Number 1.
I'm in love with a hero. I'm in love with the one who will.
Before I go any further in this video, I need to point out that Class Comics involves many mature themes and has lots of instances of sex. Lots. Like, lots. Hello comic book fans of the world! This volume includes many different artists and writers. The first story is Jacko's Horny Halloween, issue number 1. Originally, it only included 3 different stories. This time around, it has 4, so it's an expanded version. The stories are not linked together in any way, with the exception of Jacko, who's introducing the stories. He's sort of like the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. The first story is called Into the Wild, where a man is taken by a clan of Sasquatches. It ends on a good, bad way, depending on your point of view. The next story is called Devil on the Shelf, where the character of Isaiah is attacked by a devil on a shelf. What's interesting, though, is that story is later revisited by Class Comics in their strip show Halloween issue. A one-page continuation of the story shows that it's not over yet. Afterwards, we have a new story introduced called Curiosity Killed the Cat. We have the character of Zachariah introduced, who's house-sitting for a couple, when he's visited by the evil being Prickles the Clown. And for one reason or another, he falls in love with Prickles the Clown. I have to admit, that story was somewhat creepy. When that's done, we have the story Lost and Found, which takes place in 1913. A man is kidnapped by aliens, and Jacko himself gets involved in this one. Jacko is somewhat like a heroic figure at this point, and even brings in some other Class comic characters. But in true Halloween fashion, things don't quite end so well for them. The next comic book to be a part of this volume is called Sons of the Night, issue number 1. Several different famous Hollywood monsters are brought in, but much more sexualized, and they attack a fraternity house. And again, Jacko comes in and saves the day. This is one of the few Halloween comic book issues from Class Comics that has somewhat of a happy ending. Afterwards, there's several one-page stories from Class Comics strip show series. Nearly all of them are Jacko visiting different characters in the Class Comics universe and distributing his brand of Halloween funness to all of them. I don't know if funness is a word, but I'm going to use it. The last portion in this volume includes several different pinups that came out from the Class Comics media issue back in 2012. This includes many different artists, including Jezza Smiles, Bryce Peters, Eric Mars, Charlie Tuga, Narvasa, Patrick Fillion himself, and several other artists too. This is a really hot, awesome collection of different Halloween issues from Class Comics, especially if you're in the whole Halloween spirit of everything. Class Comics really only brings Jacko around about once a year, so it is nice to see his return. Maybe a new Class Comics character can be created for all of the major holidays during the year. Like maybe a naughty Santa Claus could be introduced, and there could be a crossover between all of the major holiday figures that are introduced in Class Comics. At least that's something I think that would be kind of cool. There's obviously a lot more story that I just somewhat skimmed over, but if you're interested in reading this in its entirety, you want to go to classcomics.com and you can download a digital copy from them. So thank you guys for watching me in this video. If you made it up to this point, you are pretty darn awesome. Check out my Patreon site when you get a chance. Check out my social media sites, my websites, and everything else out there. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later.
Will always win. He's a prominent figure.
That'd be a really cool idea for the character of Jacko to continue on in the Class Comics universe outside of Halloween. They could have him invade other storylines and try to bring things back to Halloween, sort of like how Jack Skellington did that in The Nightmare Before Christmas, but do this much more in Class Comics style, which you pretty much know what I mean by that.